is it good or is it bad? But they're not making sure that people are being taken care of throughout that whole journey. And so, is this something new in the industry, or is it a Mighty Networks thing, or is it just, this is the nature of how communities are built in 2022?
I mean, I think online community has definitely grown
Hmm.
and evolved over the past 10 years, 5 years, and then especially in the past 2 years, right?
Hmm.
So Gina Bianchini, who's our founder, absolutely has been thinking about community hardcore for 5, 10 years now herself.
Hmm.
And I think, yeah, thinking about it's more than a Facebook group. It's not just like you're slapping together a space. It's something that's where you're curating experience, where you're really
Right.
designing
Hmm.
what people are going through, especially nowadays with like Zoom fatigue, right? And
Yes.
2 years of having to be online. And how do you differentiate within that? And people, how do we, I think in business in general, especially with small business owners and service-based business, we're thinking about how do we consider the whole human in
Right.
this experience, right?
Hmm.
Like you can't just leave, especially when your kids are home. You
Hmm.
can't just leave that at the door when you go into
Right.
your office, right?
Right.
Or your dog or your cat,
Right.
whatever it may be, right? We had to be whole humans coming to the table for both our businesses, and then the same as you build a community. Like I think there's been so much toxicity out in community building, whether it's from the systems that we operate in, whether that's the patriarchy or
Mhm.
white supremacy or,
Right.
whatever that is, capitalism. Like, I think
Right.
we're all in the space of examining that. And so
Hmm.
being intentional about honing the kind of culture you're creating, it's culture
Right.
making
Right.
inside a community. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure, and there are plenty of communities out there that aren't doing that, but I think that's what differentiates. And I think that's what would be purposeful for small business owners
Hmm.
and service-based businesses.
Well, let's back up to tell me more about Mighty Networks generally and what distinguishes it from other types of communities.
Yeah. So Mighty Networks is a software as a service platform that is designed from like the ground up to support community building. I mean, it has a lot of nice features. It is like aesthetically very pleasing, but you have an activity feed like a forum. It's got some similar qualities to what you might experience when you're inside of a Facebook group in sort of that social network feel,
Hmm.
but there's no ads. All the members are, to whatever degree you determine is important, uh, curated, so to speak,
Hmm.
right? Like you can have a public community, but you can also, have an application process, however you want to set that up. You can, there's a course feature inside of my network, so you can have small groups, so you can have subspaces within your big main space. You can host events from within. You can live stream inside of Mighty Networks. Yeah, so there's just, it's
Hmm.
been evolving and evolving, but there's so many features that are really designed specifically to encourage community. Like, uh, you could uh, name specialties, so you could know who else in your
Hmm.
community is a therapist, right?
Hmm.
You could know who else in your community is in your region. Like you
Hmm.
can set it up so that I could learn who is near Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
Right.
So there's just like, as you dig into the features, you see that they're really geared differently than like a website, so to
Okay.
speak.